We're going live in 3, 2, 1, and why not? Because what does it matter? Oh, we already got some people dropping into the chat. Hope everyone is having themselves a good Sunday. It's a nice Sunday here. It's not raining for a change. It's the sun is out, but that is going to be short-lived, evidently, because evidently we're getting more rain this evening and tonight. So you know what? It's all good. And in this video, though, you're going to find the wonderful things. All the wonderful things he does. We got our 0B coming in late, as always. I don't know if he's ready yet, so I'm just going to sit here. We're just going to sit here and wait. See if he's ready yet. He's looking down. Now he's giving me the middle finger. Like I haven't seen that before. You live my life. You get that a lot. What's up, Chuckles?
What's going on, sir?
You know, there's such as this thing called a clock.
I mean, I was
goes with your wrist too. You can wear a watch.
I was here.
Just helping you out.
I was here.
Just you know who was here? Greg is here. Mike Lee is in his house. We got Mr. Perry also coming in strong. Greg says, leave Kadarius Tony alone, Tim. We're going to talk about Kadarius Tony.
Fuck Kadarius Tony.
We're going to talk about the idiocy of Kadarius Tony, and I'm going to get into that. And I'm not even going to blame Kadarius Tony. I'm going to blame the fan base. Mike Lee
I'm going to blame parenting. Sorry, that's kind of fucked up. I'm sorry.
You know what? Maybe he's from a broken home. Maybe he's from a foster kid.
Oh, cry me a fucking river, build me a bridge, and get over it, Kadarius. You won the Super Bowl.
You know, maybe Michael says that Tony's a clown.
Listen, Kadarius, if you're watching this, which you're probably not, but if shit doesn't work out in Kansas City, you could be the next Bozo the Clown.
Mike Lee says, now, how would we want to insult clowns like that? We're not going to insult clowns like that. He meant clowns. We know what you meant. Mr. Perry also says, the dude is a clown. Tony will be out of the league next year. G537 says, smiley face. We got the Blackbird coming in and saying that's why he was traded. Max on the beat says, F Tony. Why is he talking about us when he hasn't cared about us since he was traded? Max on the beat says, what's up, Tim? Oh, a lot of good stuff is up. Make sure you hit the like button when you come in. I'm going to tell you this. This is what I'm going to tell you, Rob.
Tell me, Tim.
I'm going to give you my point of view, my opinion.
Ooh, I love it when you give me points.
Because dramatic pause. Also in literature, it's also referred to as the caesura. So we're going to have a dramatic pause here. I saw some thumbnails on some video. I didn't watch the videos because I don't have time to watch videos. But I saw thumbnails, and I've seen shit on Twitter. Mm-hmm. People are upset about Kadarius doing this and doing it to the Giants.
People are upset
that
he's no longer on the Giants.
And this is my question I'm going to ask you. Are people upset because of the fact that he won a Super Bowl, actually had a big, he had a you could say, some say momentum swinging punt return. He did score a touchdown. Are they more upset that they're giving him the middle finger? Or are they more upset the fact that he left and won a Super Bowl? I don't care if Kadarius Tony left. I hated the pick from Jump Street. I hated the pick from the draft. Watch the draft live stream. You could see the air get sucked out of the room on that pick. And I said, I hated this pick. I didn't like this pick. I said he was going to be out. I actually said that night, and Dom brings it up all the time, that I said he's going to be off the Giants in 2 years. And I think he was off the Giants in 2 years. But
he was. He was.
Was it 2 years?
I think it was. Well, because he was drafted in 2020. So he played, he had his rookie year, 2021, and then he was traded last year, which was 2022.
So it was 2 years.
It's 2 years.
All right, so
well, shit, Tim. I didn't think you were right about anything.
I know. I'm never right about anything. And Dom,
you know what, Tim? Fucking A, bro.
Dom likes to bring that up to me all the time because you said he'd be out of the league off the Giants in 2 years. Because I said it before. He can't run routes. When the best thing they could say about you when you come out of college is that your route running is unique. That means you suck. And he had one big year on a COVID year after being in school for 5 years. So, I mean, there was no there, but I don't understand this. Explain this to me, Rob. Explain this to me. Why are people I've seen Twitter and people are like going batshit crazy. He's not on the Giants. He doesn't fucking matter. He doesn't care. When did we become such a mamby-pamby fan base that we are so upset that someone's giving us the middle finger? I like the mug. Let's see. Did it gets the Brett Favre approval.
Ladies and gentlemen, Are you looking for some hot coffee and a good mug to go with it? Go ahead and check out R0B merch.
And
get
make sure
15% off.
the Black Rifle Coffee
that brings you an egg sandwich. Get yourself a Chelsea.
Can I have an egg sandwich? Can I have an egg sandwich, please? And it goes with his Black Rifle Coffee.
Thank you, love.
Make sure you have the Black Rifle Coffee. Make sure you have the R0B mug. And make sure you go and get your Black Rifle Coffee. There's nothing better. There's nothing smoother.
Sponsorship incoming. Dude, I honestly, man, to be honest, I don't understand what the infatuation is with Kadarius Tony.
What is the
I don't understand what it is, because look,
people are generally upset.
They are. They're mad at the Giants for trading him. Like they're blaming Joe Shane. Some people are saying good riddance. Like, look how he's acting. And people say, well, you know what? They were looking to trade him from April. You know, they clearly don't know how to evaluate talent. How he's acting now is more than likely how he was acting then. He's a child. Right. He is a child. He is a fucking loser. He's a loser. I'm sorry, but I said this last night. He's a loser. He's a lowlife. He had a one-play wonder. You know who else had a big punt return, guys? Back in 2000, fucking Jermaine Lewis. Anybody even know who that guy is for the Baltimore Ravens? Really didn't do nothing. Had a good punt return, and that was it. Okay, that's what everybody remembers Jermaine Lewis for. Okay, that's what he did, and the guy was buck naked in an offense where they're on what, the 5-yard line. They're going to be covering Kelsey. The guy was buck naked, and then the exact same play was ran the opposite direction to Sky Moore. The exact same play, just flipped.
The opposite direction.
They literally just flipped the play. So listen, Kadarius Toney, he made a play in the Super Bowl. Great. Are we forgetting that?
There you go, guys.
His time, he had 16 catches last year. 16 catches for 160 or 179 fucking yards. When he left, when he left the Giants, I think he only got 6 catches from the Chiefs or something stupid like that.
It was something small. It was minuscule. The amount of catches.
It was very, very minuscule.
My thing is this: the Kadarius Toney pick was a bad pick from day one, and everyone talks about the Dallas game, and of course, Daniel Jones was not the quarterback in that Dallas game when he put up his big numbers. And I kept trying to tell people over and over again after that game that he's not running routes. He's playing street ball. He's bouncing around. He's pinballing it. And I said the next week, I said, you know what the defensive backs are going to do? They are going to plant their ass in front of him, let him do all of his moves, and wait for the cavalry. That's all they're going to do, because it's not running a route. It's not being in the play. You are trying to create. It's like basketball when you're trying. And I've said it like that. It's like basketball when you're trying to create your own shot. And that's what he was doing when he was running these routes with the Giants. And the league figures it out, and the league figured it out real quick. And it's not that difficult to figure. You figure this out in high school, in Pop Warner. If someone dances around, you just stay in front of them until your friends come.
Yep.
Well, that's all you do. There's really not much to it.
I'll never understand the infatuation. I don't get it. I'll never understand it. I don't get it. I'll never understand it. I don't know what it is.
I don't know. Let's get to where is Greg? Where's Greg from Sweden? Because he is a big Kadarius Toney fan. He is a huge Kadarius Toney fan. He was drafted in 2001. Okay, thank you, Blackbird. It was 2 years. Okay, thank you. I didn't know if it was 2 years. Let's see here. Logic's fine. It says, I will never let the Giants fans forget they were putting Toney in a gold jacket right up until the day he was sent packing. Show the mental capacity of every fan who liked this guy. I told you so. I don't, you know what? I don't have a problem, Rob, with someone liking a player and then having the player not pan out, because that just happens in the sport. I have a problem with a certain segment of the fan base being a bunch of namby-pambies that are upset because someone is giving the Giants a middle finger. He's not giving you the middle finger.
He's in New York.
He's not giving your mother the middle finger. He's giving the New York Giants organization the middle finger, and who cares? Because at the end of the day, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. Like, he's not doing it personally to you. He's doing it to the organization. And look, I'll say this from a fan perspective, from the organization perspective, I'm sure 100% sure that this is the case, that the people on that defense are kind of disappointed that they're not playing Kansas City this year. Because they would love an opportunity to crack that motherfucker in the mouth. Not punching him, but like just light him up.
Legally.
You know what I'm saying?
Would on
so, look, the bottom line is this. Is he an athletic player?
Yes.
Absolutely. He's got good ball skills. He can make man miss. He's got good feet work, right? But at the end of the day, your best ability is availability. And he was not available. And he doesn't take care of his body. He's clearly a child. I think he's proven that time and time again. And I brought this up to him, and I've said this. When you look at interviews with Kadarius Toney and you look at interviews with Jalen Hyatt, night and day from like just a maturity level and a personal level, like night and day. The way that Hyatt answers questions and the way that Toney answers questions. And I'm only using it because 2 rookie wide receivers, right? Hyatt just seems more respectful. He just seems more sophisticated, properly answering things, the way he talks. Toney just seemed like, yeah, you want $1? Like,
well, I got a problem with Jalen Hyatt.
What's that?
He hasn't shown up to any of the events that he was supposed to be at.
Oh my God. Stop it.
It's true. He missed the rookie dinner. He missed the town hall, and actually missed another event too that he was supposed to be at. But I'm not going to say anything. So I got a problem. I love Jalen Hyatt, but I got a problem with that.
That's almost as bad. That's almost as bad as the Barkley fans crying that he hasn't made involuntary workouts.
We're going to talk about Barkley in a minute too, because I want to talk about Skip Bayless and Barkley again, because Skip Bayless is back on the Barkley train. Blackbird says he was drafted in 2021. Mike Lee says ever since there were DJ lovers, that's when we turned into a mamby-pamby fan base. It does bother me that so many people are upset about it. It really does bother. I don't know why it does bother me.
Who was drafted in 2021?
Kadarius Toney.
Wasn't he drafted in 2020?
I don't know. That's why I asked you. Zach's not on, so I don't have the Googler. I don't know.
He might have been drafted in 21. Wait, that doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense. Oh, geez. Now I'm gonna get Zach. Where the hell are you? All right, Kadarius Toney. I will.
No. He was. I think he was. It was only 1 year.
He was drafted in 2021. He was traded in 2022.
1 year.
He was here a year and 7-8 games.
A year and 7-8 games. That's crazy.
Yeah, oh my God, he's right. You're right. I didn't know about that. Logic said, I said he was going to be off the Giants in 2 years. A lot of people attacked me. Tim was one of the few people who agreed with me. I did agree with me because I didn't see it. You saw.
Have you ever seen a player that quickly get moved on from?
Outside of injury or drug related,
like a number 1 pick, like first round pick.
Out of injuries or drug related issues, no. Outside of those issues, no. I've never seen it. No, there was a couple. What's his name? There was a defensive lineman in Minnesota, but he had mental problems. So yeah, they moved on for him in 1 year. There was you had what's his name? Lawrence Phillips, the running back, but they moved. Yeah, but he had issues, drug issues.
Yeah, but how long ago was that? Was that like what, in the 90s?
That was in the early 2000s. Late 90s, early 2000s. There was the other offensive lineman from the Rams that they moved on from after a year, but he just sucked. So no, really, honestly, I can't think of anyone recently that has moved on. Because Logic Fine says he's a gold jacket. Mr. Belford in the house saying, good morning, gentlemen. We got the Admiral Mutombo dropping his head. Wish me luck for my job interview tomorrow. Everyone, take a moment. And let's type in the chat, because it's all about karma. Just watch my Twitter. It's all about karma. Let's
or karma?
Karma. Excuse me.
Yeah, you said karma.
I know I had something caught in my throat. I was trying to drink water at the same time.
Pause.
They soar. Dramatic pause. Let's all put a good luck in the chat for the Admiral, and I'll wait. Admiral James, Admiral, not Captain, not Lieutenant. He's an Admiral. So let's wish him all luck on his job interview tomorrow. James has hit the like button. We also have James coming in saying, good morning, boys, and cheers to the chats. Max on the beat said he was trash. Isaiah was better than him last season. It's true. Blackbird also says he thought it was a funny video. I actually did. I noticed that on I also noticed that on the Twitter. Logic Finest, let's see, we also got here. Admiral says they used to call me a human joystick back in the day. Madden Wise. That's always good. Kadarius Tony is better than any giant wide receiver we have on the team right now. I don't know if that's sarcasm. Do we think that's sarcasm? From the enormous one? Do you think that's sarcasm?
Might be a little bit sarcastic. Might be. Might be.
Just check. Blackbird said, I am pissed. We could have had Parsons. I'm terrible. I'm about that. Johnny Rico said the same thing. Kadarius Tony was a terrible pick. Giants 34. Tim, we have to realize that DJ is horrible quarterback. I'm going to talk about that for a second. And that he makes or breaks any wide receiver.
Don't we talk about it enough?
And can't use him. Don't make him bad. DJ is a problem. Now, this is something that some people are going to point to. If Kadarius Tony blows up this year, if Evan Ingram blows up this year, if the giant wide receivers have similar years to last year, are people going to, you had Kenny G flame out, you had Golden Tate flame out. Are people going to start pointing now that it's the Daniel Jones issue?
I mean, it's a good question, right? It's a good question. Like, I mean, look, there's a lot riding on this year, guys, whether you want to admit it or not.
There's a ton riding on this year.
There's a ton. And it's look, we had this conversation and Sal brought this up or was asked to him, I believe. Somebody asked it to him. And it's like, let's just say Daniel's here for 4 years, right? And you missed the playoffs twice and you make the playoffs twice. And well, yeah. But I'm saying, like, out of this contract year. Oh, you know what? Let's count it. Let's count the entire time that he was here. So out of these next few years, you missed the playoffs twice. You make the playoffs twice. Maybe you make a couple of conference. So together, he made it to the playoffs 3 times in his career with the Giants. Is that a failure, or is that a win? Or if you made it to the playoffs all 4 years, so we made it last year, we make it this year, we make it the next year, we make it the year after that, and we don't win a Super Bowl, but we're constantly in the mix, and Jones is playing good, then I think the contract and him coming back was worth it, right? Because at that point, you're in contention. Like, that's the whole point. Like, you want to be, obviously you want to win, right? But the fact is you're in contention. Like, you're just because you can't win. Like, I don't think, like, nobody would say Josh Allen sucks if he can't win a Super Bowl if his career ended tomorrow, right? He had them in contention. He brought them to playoffs, right? Like, he was a good player. So there's a lot riding on this year. And I think with the amount that they paid him and the fact that they paid him, they're expecting him to hold this team in contention the next 4 years that he's on this contract. And if he's not, and if they're not, then at that point, then again, it was a failure. If you don't make the playoffs, if you're not in contention, and this is a weak conference, mind you, like this conference is not very strong. So yeah, I mean, if Waller comes in,
technically you have 2 divisional teams that are maybe better than you.
You do, but in that case though, like Philly still has to play Dallas, right? Those are 2 good teams. They still have to play each other. Washington is on the up and come, right? They're doing some good things. Their roster's getting better. You're going to have to. Like, look, we're not making those excuses for Seattle and, for the Rams and for the Seahawks. They all play in the same division, right? Like, yeah, we expect it. Like, we're expecting at that point, like 2 years ago when the Rams won the Super Bowl, we were expecting it to be a battle between the Rams, the Cardinals, there was an assumption that it was going to be a dynasty in the division because of the fact that you had the quarterbacks, you had the team, you had the hot teams, but we've said it before. It's secular. It's every year. It's something different every year. You never know who's going to, and that's why when people
when they try to predict records, it's so difficult because of the fact that you don't know. I mean, we heard that the latter half of the Giants schedule was going to be a cakewalk. I heard that ad nauseum before the season started. Oh, the last half is going to be easy. Last half, and the last half of the Giants schedule turned out to be the most difficult because the teams that you thought were going to be bad were good, and some teams that you thought were going to be good were bad, and you kind of had a mixture. So you have no clue what's going to go on until that first snap. And even then, you don't even really know what's going on until about week 8. Let's run through a couple of these. I got a couple questions for you as well. Logic's fine. I hope all the family's doing good. We got Anthony. I haven't seen Anthony in a long time. Welcome, sir. Tony's interview was legendary. I wanted Tillman over Hyatt. I don't know. I'm a Hyatt guy.
I think they were both good players. If you want me to be honest, I think they were both good players. I think from a big playability, I think Hyatt. I think Hyatt's got that where he's got more of like that big play capability. Like, he could take a slant and go, or, he could do some pretty awesome shit. Right. Where Tillman is a good productive player. I think he's like 6'5" or something like that. Like he's a big physical guy. I would say that Tillman represents like a Mike Williams who's in the league right now for the Chargers. Or, like a big time receiver that's just big, right? He's just big. He's not going to burn you, right? He's just going to use his big body frame. And if he gets it, and he's got some clear sailing, he'll burn you right a little bit, down the sidelines. But he's more of a physical style of receiver, in my opinion.
Anthony says Andrew Thomas was 2020. Giants 34. We have to stop blaming our wide receivers for their play and blame the quarterback for his inconsistencies. Daniel Jones does not know how to use or bring out the talent of wide receivers. That's why wide receivers are upset and don't want to come here. Well, I guess Paris Campbell came here.
Yeah, I mean, well, let's be honest. He even said it. He's like, I thought my market was going to be better. And it was. Like, he even said, like, I want Giants fans to realize this. Like, he was at the podium. And he said, I thought my market was going to be better.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
I wasn't going to bring that one up.
All right. He even said, I thought my market was going to be better, but I guess it wasn't. Not a lot of people are going to be offering multi-year deals to, a guy coming off injuries and had one good year.
Yeah.
So he literally just took what he had, like the Giants were his best option. You know what I mean? Like, and that's not a knock on him or like whatever, but like, that just goes to show you if he had multiple offers, like he wasn't fucking coming here. No. He wasn't coming here, So like,
let's be honest. We got to drop in the super chat real quick from the Zach because I think he's being sarcastic. I don't know why you declined the 5th year and then signed DJ. I mean, honestly, if you take a look at this, Rob, and if you look at the DJ contract from we're going to say a metamorphosis state, and actually look at it in a hyperbolic chamber. Technically, they signed him year 1 and 2 for what they would have signed him for combined if he was tagged. So the only
twice, you mean?
Yes, twice. So the only difference is you have to take a look at it from the perspective of actually, you know what? Because they're both guaranteed years. So salary, actually, if you look at it mathematically, he's not wrong. You could have twice, but then you're kind of
like in hindsight, yes. Like hindsight, looking into the situation now, the 5th year option should have been implemented, right? Because that was like what, $25 million. So that would give them right now an extra $8 million or so, like in available cap space this year.
No, because of the fact that his contract value is only 20 something this year. His salary, his cap number is only 20 something.
Yeah, well, you're correct. So this year is actually less
balances out
than what his 5th year. Now, let me ask this question. Now, the way that you could kind of look at this, though, right, is they basically got him for less than the 5th year option is this year.
Right. But
next year, his cap hit is like 46, which I think that's what the tag would be.
The tag, yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you look at
you were right.
Look at it mathematically.
It's basically about the same. They basically gave him his tag year back. We got him for his tag year, and then he played well, and they would have tagged him.
They tagged him again. So, honestly, that's not a.
It's not bad. Listen, the contract itself, the way it's constructed, is not bad. That's not bad, folks. The problem is that
3,000 yards, 15 touchdowns.
Exactly. And it's the problem is the fact that they gave him the contract based off of like little performance. I get it. He had a great year last year. Like, he had a good year. He had a little bit, arguably maybe his best year, but like my point is this, and this is what I don't know if I said it on here, but I've definitely said it in the Twitter spaces. I think that Joe Shane and them had a plan all along I think probably after the first few weeks, that their plan was they were going to tag Jones. That's what they wanted to do, which is why they were negotiating with Barkley. Now, this was before the running back market crashed. This was, all of this other shit or whatever. And when Barkley was asking for 17 and then the tag was 10.5 million, and then free agency happened, I think when Barkley turned down that deal midway through the season and said he wanted 17, and then they realized what the tag was going to be and that the value may drop down, I think at that point, that's when they made the decision, okay, we're going to sign Jones to a 4-year deal because we can spread that money out, and we'll just tag Barkley for the $10 million, and then that'll be it. And then that's where we're at here. So at the end of the day, like, now looking into it, maybe we should have given him the 5th-year option because $25 million is less than 82. If you want to look at it from that perspective.
But from their perspective, if they gave him the 5th-year option and he balled out,
they would have tagged him again or signed him a contract.
They're going to tag him again and sign him a contract. So I understand the point. I understand wholeheartedly not tagging him because honestly,
and he hadn't earned it. He hadn't earned the tag up to that point.
Everyone tells me he earned. We've talked, and I don't want to get into this again, but everyone wants to talk about the Minnesota game. Nobody wants to talk about the Philadelphia game. Everyone talks about he earned it with that Minnesota performance. I know it's not the same sport, but I always go back to basketball, and people don't probably remember Jerome Big Snack James. Big center had a career playoff run. Isaiah Thomas and the Knicks signed him the next year to like 6 years, but ungodly money they gave him. And it turned out that he was just what he was all the rest of the season. He flamed out. That one big performance in the playoffs got him his payday, but then he had a pedestrian career and was out of the league 3 years later. And with the Knicks still on the hook for a large segment of money. And I think in some ways the Giants they kind of have aces and eights. They got the dead man's hand. There's nothing they can do right here. If they get rid of him and he turns out to be a superstar, they got rid of a superstar. If they sign him and he flames out, you wreck the cap. And the problem is this: I think I think Shane took the smart route and took the 2-year deal. Yeah, he's going to eat a lot of money in year 3, but the only problem is if he flames out, you set your franchise back 3 years. That's the biggest issue I have.
Yeah, look, this whole thing is riding on the fact of Daniel Jones being able to carry the football team. And the original question that kind of got us on here was, like, if Waller or Hyatt can't get going, is it the talent or is it the quarterback? And at that point, like, I don't know if you saw, I'm sure you did, but PFF put out like over unders for Jones, Barkley, Waller. And I'm sorry, but they had Jones at like 3,300 yards, 17 touchdowns, and some shit like that. And they had Waller at like 750 yards or something like that, and like 6 or 7 touchdowns. And I'm sorry, but if that, again, that's not like Bible numbers, right? But if that comes to be true, Joe Shane and them are going to look like an absolute fucking joke.
If he does not throw for at least 4,000 yards, 25 to 30 touchdowns, rushes for another 400 with another 6 touchdowns, it is going to be a monumental failure for the team.
Yeah, I mean, the throwing of 4,000 yards, I think, is like 6 yards more per game. Like, it's an average of 6 yards more per game or something like that or whatever, like to throw for an extra, to throw for 4,000 yards. So he's got to throw for like 700 and something because he had like 3,250 or something like that. So he's got to throw for like 700. I think it's like 6 yards per game or some shit like that, like a low amount. It's not a lot. It's really not. And with you having Waller and shit like that, like, he should be able to throw for 25 to 30 touchdowns.
It
Like-
would actually be like 25, 30 yards a game extra.
25, 30 yards. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought, well, because I knew
Well,
to get up to do 1,000 yards is like
not-
58.
There's not 40 games because even 6 times 40 is only 200.
Then I was way off. I was way off. But even still, like, that's not a lot. Like an extra 25, 30 yards or something. Like,
can we get another egg salad? Can we get another egg sandwich for Rob because his blood sugar must?
my blood sugar's
He's not doing very well with his
math. I'm
math.
drinking this body armor. Body armor. Give your body the nutrition and electrolytes that it really needs.
That's right.
But and that's not a lot. And so, but he should be able to throw that. He should be able to throw for 25 to 30 touchdowns. Run for another 5 or 6, and at least have 400 to 500 yards on the ground. But
I want to run through some of these chats right here, but I also want to go back to the Jones thing because there was something that got me in trouble on Twitter that I want to talk.
In trouble?
Shockingly, I had to issue a mea culpa, an apology on Twitter.
Mike, I'm here Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
And my apology didn't go over well. Because I basically told everyone that didn't like it to suck it. Let's see. Anthony is right. Alex Leatherwood he got traded after the first year. He did. Tony Mandarich over in Green Bay, but Mandarich was there for about 3-4 years. We got everyone wishing the Admiral a good luck on his interview. James has hit the like button. Anthony's also job. We got Joe Revin. I was thinking Joe Revin a little bit a while. Here's the first round quarterback from the Cardinals right after they drafted the kid Kyler. Oh, that's right. What's his name? The quarterback. Same year, yeah. The quarterback the Cardinals quarterback that they drafted the year before, and then they got rid of the next.
Oh, Josh Rosen.
Josh Rosen, thank you. We got James dropping, and everyone's saying good luck to the Admiral. Zach Attack, do me a favor. I meant to tell you, email me or DM me. I gotta ask you a question. I forgot if are you in Jersey? So just email me if you're in the Jersey area. I want to talk to you a minute. Mr. Perry says he is a giant fan. It's sarcasm. I know it was sarcasm. Mr. Enormous has been here on this channel quite a lot. James says if we win a Super Bowl ring, I make a touchdown catch. I'm flipping the bird too. Men are sensitive today. Man up. And I love this point. Richie James will lead the league in receptions this year from James Williams. If Richie James leads the league in receptions this year, Rob, I do think there's an issue with the quarterback then, especially if he goes.
100%.
There might be an issue there. Daniel, let's see. Giants 34 says, Tim, if you switch some of the okay quarterbacks on the Giants into the season that have records we do not have and do have our wide receivers, they are better numbers and more wins. Think about it. I will think about that in a minute. Mr. Perry says, Jones will throw for 4,200 yards, 35 plus touchdowns. I hope he does. Anthony also says Jones can only make a wide receiver good. I don't think he can make a really good player elite. Mr. Perry says we are winning Super Bowls in the next 3 years. James says talking about Jones means nothing if Saquon is not signed. I think you're 100% right. James also drops in saying the conference is weak, but the division is a monster. We beat Dallas last, win again. I agree. Like I said, I'm more concerned. My favorite football snack. What is your favorite football snack, Rob?
Probably pizza.
That's a good one. Let me go here. I'm gonna run through. T-Brad's in his house. T-Brad, what's up, T-Brad? Hit the like button, says T-Brad. Everyone loves the T-Brad. James says, I am the only one worried that Tim has been to 2 public Giants events and our so-called new weapon hasn't showed up to any. That's true. I've been to these events. He hasn't shown up. The problem with DJ's contract doesn't allow us to re-sign Saquon Barkley. It's not that it's not the contract's precluding us from signing Saquon Barkley. I don't think the Giants want to, Rob. I don't think they want to budge off that $10 million. I think they want to keep him on the tag twice and then get rid of him and not have to worry about giving him any guaranteed money outside of the second year.
I think that they want to sign him. I do. I don't think that they would have tagged him. And I was thinking about this the other day and I said it. I think that having Barkley here is important to them because I don't think they are fully confident in Daniel Jones fully controlling this offense through the air. I don't think they're 100% confident that he's going to be able to do it. And I think that if he struggles like he did last year, where, you know, they try to give him a little bit more and he gets flustered. I think they would want to go ahead and, you know, maybe revert back to what was working last year, which was making Barkley the vocal point, read options, RPOs, boots, shit like that. I think that that's why Barkley is important. And so I do think that they want to get a deal done with Barkley. I think they will get a deal done with Barkley. I'm thinking it's going to be probably a 3 to 4 year deal, probably somewhere between like 25 and 28 million guaranteed. But I do think that they get a deal done. But at bare minimum, I think he plays on the tag. Like, I don't think he's going to sit out. I don't think he's going to do anything like that. And to be honest, if he doesn't sit out after saying everything that he said at his football camp, and then he doesn't stand out, you know, he doesn't hold out or anything like that, and he talks the way that he did, then he just looks like he's just kind of, you know, he's just kind of bending over and taking it up the tailpipe, you know, because like you can't go out there talking the way that you did, and then all of a sudden, all right, guys, I'll show up. Yeah, no problem. Oh, shucks. You didn't give me a deal? Oh, shucks.
Did you really say that Bryce Ford Wheaton is the best wide receiver according to R0B?
No, I never said that.
Well, Zach Attack wouldn't lie. He will Google it and send me a screenshot.
100% Zach Attack is lying. 100%.
He will set. Don't you ever say that about Zach Attack.
He's 100% lying.
He is the unaffiliated producer of this show. So I think I'm gonna post something. I have to do this. I have to do this because I said I wasn't gonna do this, but I lied. Because of the fact that I got myself in trouble on Twitter. Because I asked a simple question, and what I'm doing right now, Rob, is, and I think you know this person, and I'm gonna call people out because I don't give a shit. Because I asked, someone posted something on Twitter about Daniel Jones and his throws on target. And I'm going to put this where I just cut it out here. I'm going to put this up on the screen so everyone can see it. And I want to talk to you about this because evidently, like I said, this just got me in trouble. And, you know, and honestly, I don't need any help getting in trouble. I can get in trouble all by myself. But I want to talk to you about this because I asked a simple question and I got in trouble for asking the question. So here's the post, and it's from C Webb Senior. And this was the post.
This is from C Webb?
Yes, C Webb Senior.
Why am I not surprised?
And the top quarterback throws in percentage size, and Daniel Jones is number 1 in the league at 81%. And he said that the
hold on, before you continue, guys, I would just like to reiterate. This is also a guy that in conversations with me said the Chargers were looking to tag Austin Eckler while he's still under contract. I just want to set the stage.
We're setting the stage for this.
I just want to set the stage.
So I saw this post, and he basically said that the uneducated fan doesn't know anything about the Giant, you know, doesn't know anything about Daniel Jones, and he had that post. And my question was, you know, because with this, you know, throws on target, I asked how many Daniel Jones's passes were beyond 5 yards or behind the line of scrimmage in reference to be considered an on target pass. I said, because I could probably throw 60% of my passes behind the line of scrimmage, you know, and be on target. And evidently this started a shitstorm. I'm a clown. I don't know this. I don't know that. And honestly, I love it because people are like, you know, I love people can't fault me or attack me like on football stuff. So they go, you're old. And I always thank them. I said, well, I didn't know that. So I greatly appreciate you telling me that I'm old. I said that, thanks a lot. But evidently this started a shitstorm between him and a guy named Seamus. And I don't remember Seamus's thing, but and I thought it was a valid question.
It is.
If you are going to bring up the fact that Daniel Jones is the top percentage in reference to on-pass targets, wouldn't it be a good idea, Rob, to actually preface it with how many? It's like when we talked about Daniel Jones was 7th in the league in deep ball passes, and he only threw 29 passes, which was less than half of what the top 6 people were. So yeah, why does this offend people when you ask? And I wasn't even faulting Daniel Jones. I was just asking a question in regards to, you know, just give me more info. And I said it was lazy to not give the information in reference to just putting out a number. Because, you know, 68% of all people can tell you that statistics at the time don't mean anything.
Listen, chat, let me let you guys know something. Okay. I set the stage with the gentleman from C-Web and what he said about Austin Eckler being tagged. I didn't know that you could tag a player that's under contract.
I didn't know that either.
I didn't know that.
Tim, they're lying. You are old. You and I are.
This is also the same person that multiple times, then I have fingers, that has come into spaces and said, what other quarterback would have been able to survive the Giants and what everything that happened other than Daniel Jones? Okay, so set that stage there. Ladies and gentlemen, the tweet that you just saw right there is from a fan that, there it is, all in its glory, is from a fan that goes to the tailgates, that meets guys like Tim, Bobby Skinner, Justin Pennick.
Oh, he doesn't meet me. He hates me. I'm hating.
All of these, well, I'm using you as an example. Meets all of these guys at tailgates, right? And they just start talking football, Giants football, before the game starts. And they say one thing. And guys like either Bobby Skinner or Justin Pennick or some of these big time guys, right, say, wow, man, you make a good point. I didn't think about something like that. You make a good point. And all of a sudden, these people think they know what the fuck they're talking about. And they say, man, I'm going to be a content creator. I'm going to be an analyst for the Giants because you know what? I know Giants football. It's those tweets right there. It's the deep ball accuracy tweets. It's the defending. And then when you're asked there it is again. When you're asked a simple question, right? A simple question like, hey, how many passes did he throw behind 5 yards or at the 5-yard mark? And they have no fucking clue. They don't know what the answer is. They don't know nothing. Meanwhile, Warren, if you wanted to, Warren Sharp posted a GIF of all of Jones's targets. You know how they show like from every game where it's all the little, and he had a highlight show that just kept feeding in. And you know what? There was a lot that were 5 yards and behind. There were a lot that were at 10 yards. There weren't many over 15. There wasn't a lot. But yet, when you're asked an intelligent question, hey, listen, 81%, that's great. That's good. Can you tell me how many yards were behind the 5 yard line? You're old. You're the problem. They don't know how to answer it. Why? Because they see that little tweet and they see the images and they post it because they think that trump card, Mike bomb. And meanwhile, when they're challenged, they look like Daniel Jones did against the Philadelphia Eagles. They look lost. Fred, do you see it? How do I respond to this? Fred, what should I say? I wasn't expecting this response. It's a good question. How do I respond to this? What? You don't know? Oh, fuck. That's what it is, guys. That's what it is. So, Tim, don't feel bad.
I don't feel bad. I felt bad.
I know you don't feel bad.
I felt
bad. You had every right to get into you know what? You old son of a bitch. You had every right.
I know. I didn't know I was old. I looked in the mirror the other day. I said, holy shit, he's right. I was laughing because this other guy.
I got more gray hairs than you do. I mean, look, bro.
Trust
my beard.
That's why I don't grow a beard anymore. But my thing was this: it was, you know, and I, like I said, I responded the way I normally respond, with his just straightforward viciousness. And it was funny because this guy, him and Seamus were like, "Well, you don't need to get personal," because at one point I asked Seamus, did his mom have any kids that lived? You know, I asked him all these wonderful things. I told him don't feel bad about himself by looking in the mirror and looking down. You know, someday it'll grow. You know, but you know, and it was like it was just. But it started off as an innocent question, you know, and it just kind of went out of control. I will tell you this, and I was very excited about this. I got the PTA, the PEST seal of approval on my apology tweet. And I told PEST, I said, that actually made my day. I don't know if you've ever gotten his seal of approval.
I have.
I told him,
Listen,
at the end of the day, I said, that made my day.
listen, these people still read Teen Magazine. Okay?
They
Like,
still have Teen Magazine. You are old.
I mean, like, they still read Teen Magazine. All right. I'm not going to go any further than that, but they still look at Teen Magazine. And it's those people in the fan base right there that just drive me. I'll tell you another one. Yesterday, I'm in a space and we're chopping it up, having good conversation. And I'm basically saying what everybody else typically says, like, you know, he has to prove it. He's this, he's that, or whatever. And I'm talking with somebody that is a diehard DJ ass kisser. I mean, he's carrying around chapstick like all day long because his lips are chapped from all the ass that he's kissing for Daniel Jones. And he has the nerve to turn around and say, well, you know what? You're a fake fan.
Oh, jeez. That's all? I get that every day.
And I tell you what, I typically wouldn't, but I said, you know what, dude? You could take your fake fan and you could turn around and you could shove it up your ass because I'm tired of like, why do I, if I don't share your same opinion and I'm not all rah with my chapstick along with you, kissing a guy's ass, why am I a fake fan? Why am I a fake fan? And then somebody else told me, well, you know what? You don't want to be at the finish line cheering for the winner. Basically meaning like you want to be cheering for them throughout the race.
You don't want to jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah, you don't want to jump on the bandwagon.
And
I said, you realize there are 52 other people on the team that I could root for. Just because I'm not rooting for one player doesn't mean nothing. And I'm just like, oh my God, it just makes me irritated because those people in the fan base, these are the same people, guys, that were banging the door for Malik Willis. These are the same people that were saying Desmond Ridder had something to offer, and maybe he does. These were the same people that were saying Sam Howell and the other guy from Carolina. I can't think of his name. The rookie from that was in Carolina last year that he got hurt. I can't think of his name, but that they had something to offer. And all of a sudden, Daniel Jones has a 3,200-yard season where really statistically, other than like take his running out of it, he didn't play all that great. Sam Howell. No, Sam Howell's from Carolina. I'm talking about the other kid, Matt Corral. Matt Corral. They were banging the door for Matt Corral. And Tim asked this question numerous amounts of times, and you know what? Nobody answers it. Why? Because they don't want to answer this question. If Jones performed the same exact way and we won 6 games as opposed to 9, would we be having this conversation?
Nobody answers that question.
Nobody answers it.
I love asking.
Nobody wants to answer it because what they've done is they've given their blood. They've sacrificed a child to be a part of this membership, this Daniel Jones membership. And when it blows up in their face, if it does, and it blows up in their face, guess what? I'm going to get banned off Twitter. I am going to be ruthless. I'm going to take a line from Vince McMahon. Oh, no, from John Cena from the WWE. Ruthless aggression is what I'm going to be bringing. 100%. And I'm going to love every second of it.
Listen, you must have to do a lot to get banned off of Twitter because my tweets were terrible. And I didn't get banned. I didn't get suspended. I got nothing.
Oh, it's going to be bad.
I got nothing. T-Brad says this best. You guys are the problem. How dare you use facts, logic when talking about Daniel Jones? You should know by now, logic means nothing. Just love Daniel Jones blindly, regardless of how it goes now.
You're right, T-Brad. Bad boy.
What the hell? Zach says, Rob, it's arrogance. They are right, and everyone is wrong according to people like that. Don't look at the totality of the season. See, my problem is this. And I love it because I even told people, someone was like, well, why don't you just block me? I said, I told them, I said, well, I'm so old. I don't know how to block people on Twitter. But I just don't, I don't follow Twitter a lot. I mean, I tweet, but I don't follow people. Like, I don't follow a lot. There's certain people I can, like, I'll comment on and follow, but I don't really follow Twitter. So when something like this goes on, I don't know the backstory of this, and I'm actually glad you cleared this up, because I thought before you had mentioned this name, this Charles Webb or C. Webb Jr. I thought you mentioned his name on one of the Twitter Spaces that you do.
Oh, I have,
and that's why that's why I brought it up, because I was curious, because I was like, I think this is what the guy Rob talks about. But like I said, I just don't understand the totality of these of some of these people. It's Mike Lee says, no teen magazine. It's sophisticated for them. They're still reading Tiger Beat. Wow, Mike Lee, you are old. It's Sam Howell in Carolina. Let's see here. Tim, Mr. Belford said, Tim, this is a generation doesn't like to hear logic. It's all about emotions, all about hype. It's all about doing the disservice to a fan. That's why we need the red pill guys like you. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Sometimes it's not easy to, it's not easy. It's not easy with the red pill. Sometimes I want to take the blue pill. James also says, yeah, T. Brad, we are Giants fans. We are supposed to follow the blindfolded in the dark. Mike Lee says, you forgot feelings are more important than facts. I feel DJ is the best. So there he is in their mind. At the end of the day, and I'm going to say this, Rob, at the end of the day, it doesn't really even matter. I mean,
listen, I always tell everybody, I don't lose. And it's not really about winning or losing, but I don't lose here, guys.
No.
Either Daniel Jones plays great and we're winning, and guess what? I win because my team is winning. Or Daniel Jones fails and he's out of here and I win again. So I don't lose.
It doesn't matter. But the thing is this, it's there's nothing personal against Daniel Jones. You don't.
It's not.
There's no, we're not going to his house and kicking his dog.
Yeah, like I'm not giving his dogs rat poisoning. I'm not like flattening his tires or something like that. I'm like, but look, guys, and for any Daniel Jones like diehards that are watching and listening, he has played in 53 fucking games. 53 games. That is 53 games of defenses. That is 53 games of running offenses. That's 53 seasons, that's 4 seasons of doing practices. That is 4 straight seasons of doing mini camps and OTAs and training camps. That is 53 games of different types of defenses, different type of blitzes. That is 53 games of being able to have experience as far as navigating through pocket. That is 53 games to learn how to throw anticipated throws.
That is 53 games out of 65 games.
That's 53 games out of 65 games, okay? And the fact of the matter is, a player that has just played 53 games in his career is going into his 5th season that struggles to throw anticipated passes, that struggles to navigate through the pocket on a consistent basis, that struggles to go ahead and go through his 3rd to 5th read on plays. He has 2 reads total. It's either A, B, then run, okay? That is your quarterback. And people think that automatically, because they got Waller, because we drafted JMS, they're going to snap their fingers and he's just going to turn into some quarterback of the century. It doesn't happen. Now, I hope it does, because you know what? He was the first quarterback to get his 5th-year option decline and get a multi-year extension, right? So maybe he'll be the first quarterback to break this trend too. Who fucking knows? We're the Giants. Shit like that happens.
I want to talk about Waller for a second. Make sure you hit the like button when you come into the chat. I want to talk about Waller a second, because there was all this, and Waller even came out and said this. There was all this, and you and I argued about this a couple weeks back, about him getting traded because of the fact that he wasn't invited to the wedding. Dun, dun, dun. Well, it turned out that Waller himself has come out and said that they tried to trade him in the middle of the season last year.
Yeah, they did. They had a 2nd round pick,
but he got hurt.
No, I don't think he got hurt this time. I think they had a 2nd round pick from Green Bay, but the Raiders said no.
Yeah, but the Raiders actively, this is per Waller, the Raiders actively shopped him during the season last year. So wait a minute. I thought he was traded because he didn't invite the coach to the wedding.
Well, I never said it was because of that. I use that as an example. Like, I don't think that him and Josh McDaniels got along. I don't think they liked each other.
Doesn't matter if you like each other. There's plenty of players that don't like each other.
Well, he's not a player. He's a coach.
Well, plenty of players that don't like coaches too. There's actually a lot of players that didn't actually like Bill Parcells until after they left the Giants, which I always thought was kind of interesting. That you had some players kind of, selectively bash him, and then after playing for another coach, they're like, "Well, wait a minute, this guy was actually pretty. this guy was a pretty good coach." Oh, Zach Attack also apologized to you, Rob. He says, "Rob, I'm just messing with you."
I know, Zach.
I know, but I wanted to make sure I drop that back in there. Tim Michaely says, "There's Tim using facts again." Zach Attack says, "Rob, do you think who will be the X factor on the Giants defense next year?" I want to just mention one thing to the Giants about the Giants defense. They were 27th ranked overall last year. So there is room for improvement for the Giants defense. The Giants defense had moments in games where they came up with a play, where they came up with a big play, where they came up with an interception, where they came up with a big stop. It's not like the Giants had this terror squad. It's not like they had the crunch bunch, like the pitcher behind me. So we need to see some improvement from the Giants defense. But who is going to be the X factor on the D this year, Ron?
It's tough. I got a couple of players that I think could be X factors, but I'll just give one name. I think it's going to be Aziz. I think Aziz is an X factor this year on the defense.
Is he going to stay healthy?
I think he will. I think like last year he bulked up, during the offseason. So I think a hamstring isn't like a major injury, but once you pull it, it lingers. Like you need 6 months or a few months to not be active to let it heal and let it get right. So I think he'll stay healthy. I think he'll be good. He had up until that point, I don't think he ever really missed games in college. Like he never really suffered injuries in college.
There was not,
injuries weren't really an issue for him. He played the entire rookie year without any injury problems. So I think last year was just he pulled a hamstring in training camp, and at that point he was rushing to get back, and he just never got an opportunity to heal. And so I think now he's healed, and I think he's going to be one of the X factors this year.
I want to talk about Wink for a second and the defense, since Zach brings up the defense. Wink's last year in Baltimore, his defense got him fired. The defensive play got him fired. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. He went from having a stellar defense for 3 straight years to having a mediocre defense that had issues. But if you look at the defense, his Baltimore Raven defense from 2021 to the Giant defense in 2022, statistically, the Giant defense in 2022 is worse than the Baltimore defense. And this kind of goes back to what we talked about with Daniel Jones and would you have signed him if the Giants won only 6 games? It's perception. It's perception that the Giants didn't have the talent. It's perception that the Giants, were getting away with, getting away with more with less. And I just think it's interesting that we're going to see a better idea of what Wink can do coaching wise this year as some of his players mature. And he brought in Banks, you brought in a couple other players. Some other guys are going to come back healthy. So we're going to get a better idea of what we're going to see in reference to Wink and his defense this year. I did a video the other day, Rob, where I talked about players that were, the rookies. And I mentioned players that are going to be studs, players I thought were going to be a disappointment. And I didn't mean disappointment as in they're going to have a terrible career, but they are not going to live up to expectations of what Giant fans are going to have them. And I picked Banks as my player that's going to be, I think is going to disappoint some Giant fans this season because of the fact that I've always said outside of the quarterback position, the cornerback position is probably the second hardest position to play on the field and excel in as a rookie. Now, I took some flack for that. And I'm not saying that he's not going to have a great career. I'm just saying that he's going to get picked on early. He's going to get picked on often because of the fact that unless Dory Jackson's hurt, they're going to stay away from his side of the field and go after the rookie if he wins the job. Who do you think, now we're talking about the X factors, who do you think rookie-wise may be a little bit of a disappointment to the fans right now that have expectations of him being this guy, this stud, this Mount Rushmore of Giant that, maybe just not that he's not going to have a good career, but he just might have some difficulty transitioning year one.
I'm stuck between two, honestly.
Okay, you can use both. You can say both.
I think it's going to be Hyatt and JMS.
Okay.
I like JMS. This is not a knock on JMS. I like JMS, and I think JMS is going to be a good player. I think it's going to take him a little bit to get acclimated to the league. I think he's going to have some struggles.
Don't screw with my nephew.
I think he's going to have some struggles, early, in the season. I think towards the back end, you'll see him, get it under control. But I think, I think the first few weeks, people are going to be wondering whether we got the right guy. Like they're going to question it. And I think it's going to be Hyatt. And I think nothing against Hyatt, but I think that Hyatt has some, good capabilities, but I just think it's going to take a little bit for him to get acclimated to how fast the NFL is. And so, but I think he'll be a good player. I think Tay is going to be good from the jump. I really do. I think he's just going to show amazing. Like, I think he's going to have a big impact, like from the start of the season. Now, I'm not talking like Sauce Gardner type of impact, right? Because Sauce Gardner was a freak, his first year. But I think that he's going to have a really, really good rookie season. Tay Banks. I really, really do.
But I mean, here's my, I don't, like I said, I think he's going to perform well, but my still question is this. Do you have any concerns that the fact that if you are and we're going to play some good quarterbacks this year. If you are a good quarterback, if you are a smart quarterback, if you are an intelligent quarterback, if you have a good coaching staff, when you go back to pass, who is the first person that you're going to go after?
I think that I think he's going to get tested early, right? Because he's a rookie. He's going to get tested early. But I think that he's going to capitalize on it. I think he's going to get tested week 1.
Oh, I think he's going to get tested week 1 through 5.
I think he's going to get tested week 1. And I think he's going to get an interception week 1.
Now he only had 2 his entire college career. I
think he's going to get one. I think he's going to get one week 1. And I think it's going to be on CeeDee Lamb. I think CeeDee Lamb's going to be on CeeDee Lamb at some point in that game. Or maybe it's not CeeDee Lamb. Maybe it's Michael Gallup or Brandon Cooks. And he's going to get an interception. And I know he only had 2 interceptions his whole collegiate career or something like that or whatnot. But I think he's going to make some big plays because at the collegiate level, he was a top performer. Right. So I don't think that he was getting thrown at quite often. Listen, to me, I look at it differently. If you don't have a lot of interceptions, to me, that's good because you're not getting tested a lot. But I think in the NFL, I think he is going to get tested because the NFL is a different animal. It's a different entity.
I don't care about his interception ratio. I care about his completion ratio.
And his completion percentage was low. Like he held.
I'm saying in general, that's what I care.
Yeah, about. Agreed. Like
him and I are buddies. We hang out all the time. I forget I'm the fake fan.
Yeah, you're the fake fan guy. But you go to all the events.
I actually missed one today.
Oh fuck. You know what? Now you can't be bitching about Hyatt.
I know.
But you can't be bitching about Hyatt now.
Wait a minute. Hey, that was actually a good one. Watch fucking Hyatt show up now.
Maybe he showed up today and you weren't there.
I can see that. Where the fuck is Tim? I've been hearing for 3 weeks.
He'll probably get an interview where he's like, hi, well, I was looking for Tim from Online Big Blue and he wasn't here, and I showed up, so Tim, where are you?
I didn't think about
that. I think he's going to get it.
Right.
He was good against his pass, like his completion percentage. And I think he's going to get tested early. I think he's going to make some plays. And I think by the end of the year or by the middle part of the year, he's going to be looked at as he's not going to be tested as much. I think they'll still test him here and there, but I think he's going to earn some respect. I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be really good.
I'm going to run through a couple of these. Tim and Rob, is there another quarterback that got paid big money without having a 1,000-yard receiver in his entire career? Well, he's had 1,000-yard receivers on other teams. No, it just didn't come here and do that. Greg, we were talking about you earlier about an hour ago saying, where's Greg? So I had some Kadarius Tony talking. The Admiral wants to know, Rob, best Giants place kicker of all time. Best name, Ali Hashishik. Best kicker. Well, you got. Well, you know, I want to keep it in this century because I can go old school, but I'm going to go Matt Barr.
I mean, look, I don't like his football takes. I think they're dog shit. I think he's the biggest homer I've ever listened to in my entire life. But I bet he's a really, really cool dude, and I bet he's cool outside hanging out. And he got us to 2 Super Bowls. So Lawrence Tynes, I'm going to say Lawrence Tynes. I mean, 2 Super Bowls. I mean, two kicks in the conference championship game, 1 in freezing temperatures. You know, 1 in San Francisco at the time. Can't not include Lawrence Tynes.
No, and I don't have a problem with his takes. I mean, he's a homer. You know, I mean, that's you know, I think that's just plain and simply said. But you can't take away what he did, you know, on the field. Best, you know what? I'm gonna expand on that. Best punter of all time for the Giants.
Oh, Jeff Eagles. That's the only one I can remember. So I'm going to say Jeff Eagles.
I'm going with Sean Landeta, who probably is the best punter statistically for the Giants of all time. Came over from the Philadelphia Stars, then the Baltimore Stars of the USFL. Came over with Bart Oates, led the league in punting numerous times. Went to Philadelphia. That's the only thing I will hold against him. Had the big whiff on the punt in 85 in the end zone against the Bears. T. Brad says the Banks will be the X factor. I really believe in him. I hope so too. Like I said, I hope he is, but we'll have to see what happens. Greg says we will be okay this year. I believe sign Saquon. Yeah, I think. I mean, I don't know about signing Saquon. I think they're just gonna let it go. Banks will be picked on like a turkey carcass the day after Thanksgiving. He's a rookie, says Greg, but he will show signs of the end of the year. I don't think he's going to have a bad year, Rob. I don't think he's going to be terrible. I think that he is just going to be. He's just going to be gone after. And I think that he's either going to have to prove himself or he is going to, I don't think he's going the way of Eli Apple. I don't think he's going the way of some
Who
other.
are we talking about now?
We're talking about Banks.
Banks.
Yeah. He's not going to go Eli. He's not going to go the Eli Apple route. You know, he's not going to go some other guy we're not going to talk about who allegedly or did not allegedly hold up a card game. I just think he's going to have some. I just think he's going to have some issues going on. Chris says, Ben C. Pugh, talk about the Giants, talk about Twitter GMs. We don't want him back in New York. Justin Pugh, I think they're talking about. I think he's done. Zach says, Sauce Gardner also got away with a lot of pass interference and holding penalties. You know, and that's actually a good point, Rob. Sometimes you don't get called on things. And I've said this before. I think Banks is not. Eli Apple was a handsy player. He was always a handsy player coming out of Ohio State. I said that from the moment we drafted him. Banks is not handsy. Banks is aggressive. And I think his aggression at times could be used in the wrong spots in regards to potentially getting penalties. But if you I actually talked to some Jet fans, and I get stuck watching a lot of Jet games. Sauce was a little handsy last year. There were probably some things that he did. If you watch the totality of his plays, there are probably some stuff he did get away with.
Yeah, and the other thing too, and not trying to take away from him and his performance last year, right? But he was playing on a really, really good defense. Like they had a very, very good pass rush last year. They were able to get they were able to go ahead and and get a lot of pressure. So he really, he didn't have to cover for a long period of time. And again, I'm not trying to knock on him, right? Because that's what we want. We want that good pass rush. But they were able to get a good pass rush last year, and he was playing on a very, very good defense. And that defense is going to be just as good, if not better, this year. And we're going to have to go up against that defense. So, but that's another thing. I'll say this. I think that with the addition of Ashawn, who can definitely get after the passer, and he's a good run stuffer as well. Nacho does a good job of getting after the pass rusher as well. Leo.
King of the almost sack.
All right. It's okay. Leonard Williams, Dexter. You got Aziz now that hopefully stays healthy, right? Kayvon coming in for another year. I really hope that they add another edge rusher through free agency if they can, if it's feasible, to add a little bit more to that rotation. But if we can get some pressure on the quarterback and get after, I think it's going to make things a lot easier for Banks, for Adoree, and stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting. But I mean, Sauce played good. I mean, he had a great year. He was handsy, but he was on a great defense. And really quickly on what Chris said, I do think that the Giants are going to bring in Justin Pugh. I've been calling it. I'm not advocating for it, but I do think that you're going to hear once training camp starts, I think they're going to bring in Justin Pugh to compete for a spot.
Well, Chris also says, and this is correct, Justin is done. He's torn his ACL last fall. He had a knee, a calf, an elbow, a back, a shoulder, hand injuries in Arizona, and knee issues as a Giant. I like Justin. I never went with the fact that his arms were too short. I thought he was, but he was a good Giant, but I don't see the Giants bringing back. The Giants have enough problems on the offensive line and the guard positions. I don't see, and we still have some concerns about our right tackles. I don't think they're going to bring in someone injury wise. Zach has got to go to work. Mike Lee says no Dave Jennings. No, Dave Jennings was a good punter. Dave Jennings was a good punter on bad Giant teams, and he was more of a directional guy. So he was a big guy through the 70s and the early 80s. So Sean Landeta actually played, and not to the fault of Dave Jennings, but Sean Landeta actually played on championship.
Didn't Landeta play for in the back end, like in the 2000s? He played for Seattle, didn't he, or something like that?
Sean Landeta played for a bunch of teams after he left the Giants. And like I said, I stopped following his career.
I only remember his name because I remember his name like in Madden. But I don't remember what team he played for.
He played for the Eagles at one point, so that's why I've kind of blocked him out. And he actually came over from the Philadelphia/Baltimore Stars of the USFL back in the 85 season.
Okay.
2-time Super Bowl champion, 3 times All-Pro, 2-time Pro Bowler, 2-time USFL champion. He is on the ESPN 40th anniversary Super Bowl team. He's also on the NFL's All 80s and All 90s decade teams. And he actually did play for the St. Louis Rams. He played for the Giants, the Rams, the Bucks, the Packers, the Eagles, the Rams, and then
Steve Weatherford. Steve, listen, I know Steve Weatherford. I know his family. Well, his brothers. I played against them. They went to Land O'Lakes High School in Florida, so I know all about the Weatherfords. He's got 5 brothers. 1 played quarterback, 2 played quarterback. I think Steve actually played quarterback in high school. And then he transitioned over to punter. And because he could do both. He was a quarterback and he punted. And I think punting is, he could make it as a quarterback in college, obviously. So he transitioned over to punting and the rest is history. But the Weatherfords, they had a lot of they had a lot of good talent, in their family. But he was only with us for 1 year, I think, maybe 2 years.
Weatherford was for a couple of years. I actually didn't know that Sean Landeta made the NFL All-Decade team for the 80s and 90s as the punter. I didn't know that till right now.
Oh wow!
And so that's actually fairly impressive considering you go over a 10-year span, 32 teams, X amount of games, and he actually is on both he's the all-decade punter on the 80s and the 90s. Greg says Banks will be a great corner. Well, Greg, you know what? I'm not even going to read the rest of your post because you love Kadarius Toney. I love you, Greg, man. I believe he played in the ACC against pretty good talent. He has all the intangibles, fits our system. Just needs to get a better time to adjust to the NFL. I think this about Banks was Banks the most talented corner in this draft? No. Does Banks fit the Wink system like a glove? Yes. 100%. And sometimes if you have a difference between talent and you go with the guy that fits the system better, that guy usually works out at the end a lot better than the guy that has maybe a little bit more talent.
I think when the corners that were in this draft, I think bar none, the best corner in the draft was Christian Gonzalez overall. I think was probably the number 1 consensus corner in the draft. I think he was the first corner taken. And no, he wasn't. I think he was the second corner taken. Forbes, to me, was another really, really good corner. I think you can argue He was the number 2 for me. I think he was probably the number 2 corner in the draft. And then at the third best corner, you could probably say was maybe, no, I'm sorry. I had a brain fart there. Witherspoon was the best corner in the draft. Christian Gonzalez at number 2, Forbes at 3. I think at 4, man, you could really make an argument. Joey Porter, Tay Banks, like they may have been a tie for like the 4th best corner in the draft. And we got one of them. I was a big Joey Porter fan. I like Joey Porter. I think and I'll be honest, like I'm happy for him that he actually got to go to his pop's old team who drafted him, who drafted his pop, and be able to play, and that's awesome. Like that's probably means a lot for him. I would have loved to have him in New York. But I think that that's going to really mean a lot for him to be able to go and play for the Pittsburgh Steelers and make a legacy there the way his dad made a legacy, so I'm happy for him. But I was a big Joey Porter fan, big Joey Porter fan. Like that pick.
Let me see here. There we go. My parents lived in Land Lakes, Florida. I like the butter. Rob and Tim rank all the OC defense coordinators and head coaches in the NFC East from 1 to 4. What's funny? I'm going to do it from. I don't want to do all of that, Rob, but I do want to do defensive coordinators because I actually think this is kind of interesting. If you take a look at the D's on this, in the East, Philadelphia just signed that one. What's his name? Sean. I can't remember his name. Sean something. I don't know his name. I don't know his body of work, so I'm going to put him at 4. And then it gets interesting because if you take a look, you got Jack Del Rio over in Washington. You have Dan Quinn with the Cowboys, and you have Wink. Now the hardest part, and this is why I only want to do one, Rob, it's difficult to rank these guys in reference to coordinators because of the fact that everyone has different talent. I think Dallas has more talent than the Giants do on defense. So does that make Quinn a better coordinator? I think that Del Rio gets more out of his players in Washington because he's got less talent than Quinn can out of Dallas because of the fact that he's got better players. But if you're going to go strictly off of the longevity of their careers, I would probably go Del Rio, I would go Wink, I would go Quinn, and then I'd go the kid in Philadelphia.
For me, taking what you said into an account, right? I think Dan Quinn is probably the best defense coordinator in the division. The way that he has,
but how does that rely? But if you put Dan Quinn on the Giants with that talent, is he still the best defensive coordinator in the division? Or are we looking at the totality of the career? Because, like I said, if I'm going totality of career, I'm probably going Del Rio, Quinn.
Well, to be honest, like Quinn has been there even before Micah Parsons was there, if I'm not mistaken, and before Micah Parsons, the defense was a lot better once Dan Quinn got there.
Right.
And, and when you look at what Dan Quinn did in Seattle, before he got the head coaching job, with the Falcons, and even when he got the head coaching job with the Falcons had a good defense. Falcons had a very, very good stout defense, in my opinion, when he was there. So yeah, I mean, I think Dan Quinn is probably, as far as a defensive coordinator, I like him. I think he's probably, the best defensive coordinator that's in the division, personally. That's just my opinion. Second, I think is Wink Martindale. I think when you look at Wink Martindale and what he's done, we held teams with barely any big-time players on defense to 19 points last year on average. I mean, that's nothing. That's no, like, and at that point, at one point, we were running with corners that weren't even on this roster in training camp, right? So Fabian Moreau was not in training camp. You had McLeod, who was on the practice squad, so, he did a lot of good things. So I think Wink Martindale is definitely, I would say probably the second best defense coordinator in the division. The third one, I'll give it to Jack Del Rio just strictly because we don't know this guy from Philadelphia yet and what he's capable to do. Supposedly, a lot of people are saying that he's like Vic Fangio, but the younger version. Like he's another like Vic Fangio disciple. And if that's the case, I think Vic Fangio is one of the best defensive coordinators in football period. But I'll put Jack Del Rio just because it's Jack Del Rio. And then I'll put the guy from Philadelphia. But at the end of the year, that could change. Win could be lower, win could be higher. This guy from Philadelphia could be the best. Who knows? But yeah, I would put Dan Quinn as probably being the best DC in the division.
See that? Look at that. Dan Quinn, 28 and 28-3. Enough said. Captain Dematumbo says David Wilson or Sterling Shepard, worst injury fate. You got to go David. What's worse? I'm going David Wilson because I'm
gonna go with Shep.
Because over in the corner over there, I have a autographed David Wilson jersey. So I'm gonna go David Wilson.
I'm gonna say Shep, and I love Shep. I love Shep. Young Shep is my guy, but I think with David Wilson, he had an injury and then it was over. Like it wasn't like he was coming back. Like he got hurt and then he was done.
Well, I think that's why that's a worse fate.
For me, though, I think it's worse with Shep because every year it's like Shep gets hurt. He comes back. He's looking great. This guy recovers faster than I've ever seen a man of his age recover. And you're hoping that he does something good and then he gets hurt again. So for me, it's just constant hype up. And then he's gone, and then you're watching it and then it's looking good. And then you're hoping something happens and then boom, he gets hurt again. And it's just constant letdown. Hopefully that doesn't happen this year, but I mean, we say that every year, but hopefully it doesn't happen this year.
Do you think that he makes it on the 53 man?
Yes.
I don't.
I do.
I don't. I don't think.
I actually think the more and more I think about it, I think the Giants are going to carry 8 receivers this year. I think they're going to carry 8. I think to start the year, Wan'Dale's going to be on PUP. Shep is not. I think Shep is going to be active come week 1. And I think you're going to have Hyatt active. You're going to have minus any other injuries like during training camp and shit like that. But as of right now, I think you're going to have Hodgins active. You're going to have Shep active. You're going to have Hyatt active. I think you're going to have Bryce Ford Wheaton active. I think you're going to have Paris Campbell active. I think you have Crowder active. And I think the 7th guy that you're going to have is going to be Darius Slayton. So there'll be 7 active going into week 1, and Wan'Dale will be on the PUP list. And then I think when Wan'Dale comes back, they'll carry 8. And Jamison Crowder, depending on how he's playing, will either get cut or they'll keep him active if he's playing well and have him on playing special teams. So I actually think they're going to carry 8 receivers, barring anybody getting like now. If somebody gets hurt, up until the time when Wan'Dale comes back, which I'm assuming I think Wan'Dale is going to be back by like week 5 or 6. I think he's going to be back.
I think he's going to probably be after week 6. He'll be back.
So, but if everybody's healthy, then I think they're going to run 8 receivers. And they're going to have 8 active wide receivers.
Why would you run 8? I'm asking this as a straight up question. If you are probably going to be a defensive ground and pound team, why would you carry 8 wide receivers?
I think it's because of the totality of it. I think they like Bryce Ford Wheaton. I'll touch on him. I think they like him, which is why I think they gave him the contract that he did.
Like I think he could also go to the practice squad.
But I don't think they're going to do that because I think if a player like that, if he hits the practice squad, I think they know that somebody's going to take him. And I don't think that they want to take the risk of losing him. Jamison Crowder is my question mark. I think that he could play special teams. I just don't know how much he's got left in the tank.
Here's the other question, because special teams, if you're going to carry 8 wide receivers, 3 of these guys are going to have to play special teams.
Yeah, and I think
what about the forgotten one, Jeff Smith?
I think Jeff Smith either makes it to the practice squad or he's cut.
But here's the kind of point that I'm bringing up. Slayton's not going to play special teams. Paris Campbell's not going to play special teams. Paris Campbell's
he's not, but he could.
Vis-a-vis his injury history, he is not going to be the gunner on kickoffs. You have Wandale Robinson, who's not going to play special teams. Is not just returning punts and returning kickoffs. Everyone knows that. Sterling Shepard's not going to play special teams. Wandale Robinson's not going to play special teams. Jalen Hyatt's not going to play special teams. David Sills couldn't really make this roster because he couldn't play special teams. So there's 8 guys right there who can't play on the kickoff. Can't play on.
Well, Bryce Ford Wheaton can do it.
Well, we don't know that yet because we haven't even seen the kid suit up on the field.
Yeah, but I'm saying I think that I don't think they would have given that if they didn't think that he could contribute on special teams.
I think been on this roster for 4 years and can't play.
Bryce Ford Wheaton is more athletic than David Sills. I think Jamison Crowder can play special teams.
He can play special teams, yes.
I believe that he can play special teams. So that's 2. So at that point, that leaves you six receivers at that point. Then, and I think you're going to have a lot of other special teamers in other areas. I think that one of the tight ends will probably end up playing special teams.
Well, right now,
I think you're going to have Trey Hawkins on special teams.
Right now, only Bellinger and Waller are your really true tight ends, unless you're going to pick up. Cager's
going to be active, but he'll probably play special teams.
But you have Ryan Jones, you have Tommy Sweeney, you have Cager, but I don't see. Here's the problem: you're carrying 8 guys on a 53-man roster. What position are you going to limit yourself in? Because you're going to have to limit. It's like when you carry. Well, now you can technically carry 3 quarterbacks without an issue. A lot of teams didn't carry 3 quarterbacks because of the fact that third quarterback eats a roster spot. So most people carry between 5 to 6 wide receivers. So if you have 2 additional wide receivers, what position are you taking away from to bring on these extra wide receivers who can't play?
I think it's going to be somewhere in the offensive line. I think they're only going to carry like maybe 1 swing tackle. It's either going to be, and I think they're going to carry Phillips, Tyree Phillips, who they got from Baltimore. I think Matt Pert is going to probably get cut. I don't see him making the roster.
But then you really want to have Hamilton and what's his name? Corey.
I think Hamilton will probably get moved to the practice squad, or one of those guys will get moved to the practice squad. And then I think for guards, I think Lemieux gets cut. Bredesen will be active. Azudu will be active. McKeithen will be active, and probably maybe Jack Anderson. So they'll have 4 centers active, and everybody else is probably going to get cut. And Golinsky, so 5. So I think that you'll have 5 guards active, and then I think they're only going to have 1 true center. I think the guy that they got from Pittsburgh, he's probably going to get moved to the practice squad, because I think they have, like, if Zudu is playing, like if Zudu starts and like God forbid something happens to JMS, they could just plug Ben Bredesen at center. Like they'll have Ben Bredesen go in and he'll play center. So I don't think they'll need to carry a center there. So I think that's another spot where they'll take a loss, is at the center spot, not carrying a center.
But still, carrying 5 tackles is a lot.
It's not 5.
Well, you said 5 a minute ago.
5 guards.
Oh, excuse me, 5 guards. Carrying 5 guards is a lot.
I know that's a lot, but I think they're gonna.
You can't carry.
But I think they'll list. I know, but I think that they'll list. I think that they'll list Bredesen as a center, so it'll be 4 guards and 2 centers. But Bredesen can play guard or center. I think they'll list him as a center. But I think he'll be able to play. He'll be like their ace in the hole. He can play guard or center. But I think they'll list him as a center. So they'll have 4 guards, they'll have 2 centers, and then they'll have 3 tackles on the roster.
Let me go. What do I do? Well, David Wilson was a travesty. I saw a pup question a second ago. Did I say?
Yeah, it was from Max.
No, that's actually not correct. Yeah, it's that's not. I can't think of the pup right now, but that's not correct. He can come back if he starts on the pup. He doesn't have to wait 6 weeks, because
I think if you get put on the pup during the season,
there's the active pup, and then there's if you get put on during the season that you got to sit. I think it's 4 weeks now. It's not. I forget what the CPA is. I think it's 4 weeks now. I don't remember off the top of my head. Timothy, hey Tim, the Giants finally signed Barkley to a 4-year. No, they didn't sign him yet. Oh, here we go. Chris says active pup can come back whenever. Reserve pup has to sit out at the first 4 games. Yep, there we go.
And I think he'll be active pup because he's running around so I think he'll be active pup, where like I don't even think even like last year, I don't think Shepard was on like reserve pup. I think Shep was on active pup. I think Martinez was on active pup. I don't think we had anybody on reserve pup except for maybe last year. Like I think like when Neil sprained his MCL and Bredesen, I think those guys were put on reserve pup. Another positive thing too, I don't think anybody pointed out, but I heard people saying it, like they were like, "Oh, where's Beavers? Where's Beavers?" Beavers has actually been practicing.
Yeah,
he was at the mandatory mini camp.
Well, he got
hurt
during the first preseason game. So
he got hurt. Yeah, so yeah, he's good. He's pretty much almost a year out from his injury, and I think he's like 9 or 10 months out from his surgery. So he'll be ready week 1 to go.
Yeah, he's not. And here he is. Here he is. Wait, I actually have the Beavers. I'm limping off the field. There's Beaver. There he is limping off the field after he got hurt.
Dude, he is a big guy.
He's a big man. He is a big man. We took this one when we were on the sidelines. So this was literally after the play. And everyone thought he was going to be fine the way he was walking. But you could see it was bad because the guy in the suit and there's another guy you can't see. They were both shaking their head, like this isn't good when he was walking off the field, which I thought was kind of interesting.
I think he's wearing 43 now. It's his new number.
I think it is. Let me get to this last ones because I got to head out, and I think you have to head out as well. Chris says, I'm going Quinn 1, Del Rio 2nd. The defense was the reason why Washington split with Philadelphia and Dallas. Could have split with the Giants. He's not wrong. And then Wink, and then the Philly guy. I think a lot of people forget about Del Rio and what he did in what he did in Denver back in 2012 to 2014, because of the fact that he also became the interim head coach, I think in 14. And then he was the head coach of the Jags, successful coach. And he was also the coach with the Raiders. So I think a lot of people.
Yeah, but look at who he had to work with though. Look at who, he was at that time. I think when he became the interim head coach and he was the DC, you had DeMarcus Ware that was there, I believe. They had Von Miller that was there, Elvis Dumerville. Like he had, at that time, 3 of the best pass rushers in football.
Well, like I said, with Dan Quinn, look what he has to work with Dallas the last 2 years.
Yeah, but what I brought up is that correct, but that defense was improved night and day from the year prior when he wasn't there, when he came in, and this was before they got Micah Parsons.
Oh no, I agree, but I'm saying that Del Rio people seem to forget he had, and also he called the majority of the plays for a period of time in Jacksonville as well, when he was the head coach from 2003 to 2011. So I think a lot of people forget about his acclimate, as a play caller, defensive play caller, because he helped turn around the Jacksonville Jaguars after I think it was Tom Coughlin's last season, which I think was like 5-11. He actually turned them back around. He turned them back around defensively. So there's a lot, but like I said, we don't need that. Everyone, see, Chris, what does Chris say? Everyone forgets Del Rio because of how bad Turner is. And we see, yeah, he's not wrong. Greg says, love you guys. Make sure you hit the like. Make sure you hit the like. We're out of here, guys. You got any final thoughts? Because it's 12 o'clock and I got a thing at 12:30.
No. We appreciate everybody's support, constantly coming in. We got 34 likes on here, so let's try to get those up. Make sure you guys are sharing it, following us on Twitter. Check me out. I've been going live on Twitch and Kick and stuff like that. Love talking football with y'all. We do the spaces. Spaces are going to be ramping up here once the season gets closer, and we start doing it. We'll be doing spaces every day pretty much. So appreciate the love and support there. And but yeah, that's pretty much it. I think it's a dead time right now, up until when something happens with Barkley, that's going to be the next big thing. And then the 29th the 29th is when training camp starts, right? 25th. Is it 25th or 20? I forget when rookies report. It's in the 20s. I think it's like the 24th or the 25th or something like that, when it starts. I don't even know. And Zach is gone. I don't know. I don't Google because I'm old and I don't know how to make Google work. So you know what? The old man, the young pup. This is Tim. This is R0B, also known as Rob. Thank you once again for joining Giant Sunday. You know what? Everyone else have a great weekend, the rest of your weekend, and we're out of here. See you next week. Bye-bye.